to All Out Fighting YouTube. Chris McKenna here with Hall of Fame promoter, Tyson Fury's promoter, and maybe the most important title, Daily Star columnist, Frank Warren. How are you doing, Frank?
Priorities. How am I doing? I'm doing well. We're out here in sunny Riyadh season 5. We've got a magnificent show and a magnificent main event on Saturday night.
How is Tyson? You've been around him, seen him a bit. Is he in confident mood ahead of Saturday?
I haven't actually been around him. I've very rarely spoken to him because he's not been taking calls. He doesn't want to speak to anybody. He's just speaking to his kids. All he's done is, for the last nearly 3 months now, is focus on this fight. That's all he's interested in, the rematch. All he's interested in doing is getting his revenge. He felt he won the last fight. It was a very close fight. People have got it, I've got it as a draw, or either of them nicking it or just winning it. But Tyson wants to make sure this time he's not got to rely on judges.
Is that a good sign for you that he's locked himself away and kind of kept?
Yeah. He's reduced the amount of people around him. He's worked very hard. I spoke with him yesterday after the red carpet arrivals. He looks tremendous shape. He looks good. He's a big man, as you know. Mentally, he's on the money. And he's really up for this. He believes that he will win this fight, as does Usyk, by the way.
Well, what do you think Tyson needs to do differently from that first fight? As you said, it was a very close fight, so it's not a lot.
Not a lot. I don't. Less of the showboating, less of the messing around. Emphasise his power more. Use his jab more. Do what he did from rounds 3 to 7, where he was pretty much in command of the fight in those rounds. And he's got great recuperative powers. I don't want to see him get clipped again, but he's been clipped in nearly all his last few fights. Been in trouble. He's just got to remain focused. He's got to impose himself. He's got to be the boss. He's got to take the centre of the ring and not take a step back. He's got to force the other guy back because the other guy's not great on his back foot. And he's got to do what he did in moments in that fight, using his jab, body shots, and the uppercut. It's not hard to hit with those punches.
Yeah.
It's not hard to hit. Great fighter, by the way, but not hard to hit. And you're going to look at that 9th round or the 8th round, because that's set up the 9th round. I look what he did, Usyk, and Tyson's got to be careful because he comes to fight. He did it in the first round. His tactics in that first round was to take the fight away from Tyson, to jump on his arse and fight, and that's what he did in the first round of the fight. And he did the same thing in a slightly different way against AJ when he fought. He was more dominant with a jab, where you expect the bigger man to use he was out jabbing the bigger man in AJ. So Tyson, with him, you really have got to back out, and you've got to hurt him to the body. He does not like body shots. He struggles with being hit to the body. So, Tyson knows that better than me. I mean, he studied the fight. I watched it back again last night.
Yeah.
I watched it back last night, and the last round, you think people are saying, it should have been stopped in the night. It should have been stopped. Referee did the right thing. He weren't knocked out. He was rocking and rolling, no doubt about that. He walked back to his corner. He sat down, and he couldn't capitalise in the next round. He was slipping Tyson in the 10th round and the 11th round, and he won the last round. He was the fresher fighter at the end of that fight. The 3 judges gave him the last round. I watched that last round very closely. He was the fresher out of the 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I hope that fight, and I believe that fight took more out of Usyk than it did Tyson. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Although Tyson, as I said at the start of this, had been clipped a few times in his fights.
You talked about the fights. He's achieved a hell of a lot, Tyson, going to beat Klitschko and the Wilder fights. But
in the other guy's backyard, or adopted backyard.
Yeah. Where would this rank if he can pull this off on Saturday and get revenge?
Biggest.
Yeah.
It's his biggest fight. I mean, he won't say that, but it is. For me, it is. And after the fight, a lot of our so-called feature writers, who are all geniuses, were saying that, really I was quite pissed off with some of the way they were sort of dissing what Tyson has done. The fact that he went to Germany and beat the best of his generation in Klitschko. The fact he went to America and beat an unbeaten fight, an underdog again, underdog in both those fights, and went and beat, and then saying well, Usyk's the best of his generation. You know, he showed what he is. He's up there, and it was a split decision, by the way. He's up there with, you know, the Alis and the things that I think Tyson is anyway. But I'm glad they've said that, because if Tyson wins, there's going to be no dispute that, according to them, he's beaten the best of his generation. So, you know, I'm really funking for that to happen. He's done everything that's been asked of him. He's never disappointed. From this guy that a lot of people saying early days was a boring fighter, he ain't been in no boring fights for a long time. He's come out and he's changed what he's had to do. And a lot of fighters that get older have to do that because they slow down a little bit. He's still got movement, but he's keeping that movement up for 3 minutes of the round. That's what happens. Suddenly, well, I can't do it for 3 minutes. So you've got to be a smart fighter. So you move, you tie people up on the ropes like Ali did against Foreman. His legs had gone in that fight. So what did he do? He tucked up and let Foreman punch himself out, which is what he did, and then picked his moment to put it on Foreman. And that's what happens with him. And it'll be the same with Usyk, because Usyk will not be the same fighter after that last fight. He might be early on, but as the fight goes on, I promise you he won't.
Just finally on this fight, your prediction.
Tyson stoppage within 7 or 8 rounds.
Just on another subject, Frank, just have to touch obviously the disappointment that Dennis McCann fight falling out and adverse finding with Vardic. What can you tell us on that situation? I know it's a delicate one.
Exactly what you said. It's an adverse finding in his urine sample, his blood sample that what I was sent. It was tested negative, but he was tested positive. He's got to have his B samples tested. He swears to me that he has not taken any of this stuff. I mean, you know, he took some serious oaths about it, and I've known him for 5 years. He's been with me. We've invested in him for 5 years. I've said to him, until you get your B sample tested, because he's alleging, he's saying that, you know, somebody may have interfered with it. The B sample will prove that or not, because as soon as you did it, that was given to you, weren't in anybody else's possession. So that's that. So we'll find out from that, and then after that, whatever happens, the Border Control has suspended him. They informed UCAD. UCAD will now convene a hearing, and at that hearing, he has got to explain how that got into his system. And if the B sample, as I say, is different, then it's a whole different scenario. In my time, I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 B samples that have never been the thing. And that's it. That's where we are. Dress it up to be anything else than that. Until then we get the outcome, I can't comment on it. I'm pissed off that it's happened. I'm pissed off for the promotion. I'm pissed off that all round. But he is adamant that he has not done anything illegal.
The one good side of it is that the fight was just taken off. There was no trying to push it through.
Behind the scenes, trying to get lawyers. I don't mean that having a go at anybody. I don't think it's good for the sport. You either have or you haven't. There's no in between. That is it. That's the bottom line of it. If you have, you know you're going to have a problem. If you haven't, then you haven't got a problem. And if you haven't, and your fight's been called off, and because there's something was a bit wrong, then you're going to be saying, well, you know what? I've just lost a big payday here. I want some redress. And you'll be entitled to that.
Just finish on a positive note. Still got an exciting card, topped by the main event.
And the fight.
Pete McGrail against Reese
It's a good bloody fight. There's nothing wrong with that fight. This is a fabulous fight. Listen, this show doesn't need anything. I mean, and then you got Moses against Dempsey McCain. What a good fight that is. At this stage of this boy's career, teenager against a real, proper, professional guy, tough guy. He's not some fat old guy that's been pulled out the crowd. He's a proper, boxer. And his last fight was a final elimination for the world title against, at that time, a guy nobody wanted to fight in Hrgovic. And we see Hrgovic against Daniel Dubois. Well, for the first 3 rounds, it's catching in the right hands. This is a teenager in with this guy. So this is a big, big moment in his career. Whatever happens, I believe he wins it, but whatever happens, it's a great learning.